lights to look so beautiful.
The colors are a direct result of what molecules they hit.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. The fifth named storm of the season has its sights set on portions of the Caribbean. Tropical storm Ernesto could bring flash flooding and possible mudslides to several islands. Right now, it's not expected to threaten the mainland U.S. Now, Florida meteorologist Lauren Oleski is tracking Ernesto for us this morning.
That's a tropical storm. Winds at 40 miles per hour right now, but we do expect this to strengthen over the coming days. Out near parts of the Antilles right now, it'll maybe just go by Puerto Rico. Of course, it'll still bring them heavy rain and gusty winds. I'm talking about the exact center of the storm. And then as it moves north, it's going to likely become a hurricane. Bermuda's going to have to be on alert for this, as we could see a strong Category 2 there by the weekend. This is not a threat to us. It might increase our rip current risk a little bit, but again, no direct threats from Ernesto. Tropical alerts currently in effect for parts of the Antilles right now. That does include Puerto Rico. So this is our name list for the year. We've got Ernesto here. Next name on our list is Francine, and then Gordon. Hurricane season ends November 30th.
And a 4.4 magnitude earthquake rattled Los Angeles on Monday afternoon. Moments after the quake hit, firefighters fanned out across the area to check buildings for any damage. Nothing significant was found, with the exception of a broken water pipe at Pasadena City Hall. There were no reports of injuries either. Many folks in the area were really caught off guard. Check out this video from inside one woman's home as the quake hit. Well, both the woman and the dog in that house were fine, but she was not the only person who went running for cover. Jeff Wynn spoke with other people that felt that jolt.
A security camera recorded the shaking inside Kindred Boutique in Highland Park, while a few doors down on Figueroa Street, Kitchen Mouse restaurant was shaking pretty good. Check out the vintage cookie jar rocking. Sous chef Will Sage was in the kitchen.
And all of a sudden, kitchen had a nice big shake. Didn't last super long, but kind of freaked our dishwasher out.
The shaking was strong enough to send two customers ducking under a table. At nearby Triple Beam Pizza, the customers in the dining area ran out.
The lights were moving, the glass that's over here on this restaurant, the whole thing, you can see, it looked like a funhouse mirror. Like that, we're moving that pretty good.
We showed up about 2 hours after the magnitude 4.4 quake, but the disco ball said otherwise.
He's still up there hanging around. That's still moving from, that's perfectly still normally, but yeah, that's still moving.
Back at Kitchen Mouse, the employees were as calm as a cucumber behind the counter. The director of operations was in the bakery at the time.
We had some guests sitting in there that kind of jumped up really quick. In that space, you could hear all the coffee cups clanging and all the glass hitting each other.
Everyone was okay, including Will Sage, who grew up in this area.
I should be more earthquake ready than I actually am. I might take a few more things off the shelves.
Strong storms brought heavy rain and intense hail to Utah on Monday. A viewer sent us this video to our sister station in Salt Lake City. There was so much hail, it almost looks like snow right there. Yesterday was the wettest day in the Salt Lake City region in over 3 months. The parched area desperately needed the rain, but it didn't come without any problems. It didn't come without problems. David Ochoa shows us what happened in one community.
The rain started falling. Hillary Meekum took this video of her son enjoying the downpour on the trampoline. But shortly after that, things went from fun to serious.
So I went out and he's like, we have a flood.
In a short amount of time, a small lake had formed at the corner of their block in Lehigh.
When I walked out to the street corner and saw it bubbling out of the manholes and that no water was going down the storm drain, I kind of panicked.
Meekum says she was told that happened because the storm drains were blocked due to the nearby construction work. And she says it was the construction workers who helped save the day.
They're on tractors, on sandbag duty, just doing everything they could to try to contain the water and not let it seep into our yard further.
And in the Carolinas, people are still dealing with closed roads that washed out during Tropical Storm Debbie. The Lumber River is intruding into people's homes after seeping past its banks. Tanya Brown has more from southern North Carolina.
You can't drive down portions of West Carthage Road in Lumberton due to water steadily streaming across it. Robeson County leaders are closely monitoring the Lumber River, hoping it won't rise any higher and will soon go down. Brenda Lowry tells me she had major flooding following Hurricanes Matthew and Florence, but this time it wasn't as bad because of the changes she made on her property to keep the water at bay.
The last hurricane we had to dig a big ditch behind our house to make sure the water would run off and we would never have that problem again, but we still had, the ditch was filled up full of water this time. That's what helped us. So I am trekking back here off of Pine Log in an area where a young man and his dad went to go check on their property. You have to be very careful how you walk because the water is so high.
I made it to the property and the father and son aren't sure if their home has water inside it or not. In the meantime, Robeson County sent teams out Monday morning to talk with neighbors in flooded areas to learn what can be done to help. Most community members say all they can do right now is wait for the water to dry up.
And for the second consecutive night, the northern lights were visible in parts of the U.S. On Sunday night, people from New England to the Pacific Northwest, as far south as Texas, were able to see the aurora borealis. This morning, we were getting new reports. They were visible in Wisconsin, Michigan, and other northern states. This is all thanks to a rare, severe geomagnetic storm. Meteorologist Roger Bailey explains how the lights form and what determines their colors.
So we are in the middle of a really active cycle within the sun. It's on an 11-year cycle, and we are in that high activity period. And the northern lights are caused by the solar wind coming off of the sun. But, you know, now we're in that active period. What we're getting are more of these bigger solar storms. So what's going on? Well, first of all, the Earth is protected by most of these solar storms by its magnetic field. Works just like that invisible magnetic field on a regular magnet. You can't see it, but at the poles, it's a little bit weaker. So what happens is when we get these stronger solar winds from a solar storm to come in, more of that energy of all kinds, because we are not just getting visible light and heat from the sun, we get it in all kinds of ways. We get it from ultraviolet light to X-rays to infrared, and you know, you can't see all these things and sense it, but you know, some of that energy, especially in those solar storms, makes it in, especially by the poles where that magnetic field draws in those charged particles. So when those charged particles land in the North Pole or anywhere in those northern parts of the Earth here, we're talking about it exciting the gases in there. It works just like a neon light bulb. The electrons excite the gases inside of a neon light bulb, making them glow. Well, here the charged particles hit those molecules, including oxygen, nitrogen, making for those stunning colors. And the colors are a direct result of what molecules they hit. For instance, they hit oxygen, they make the reds and the greens. They hit nitrogen, they make those blues and the purples that we see. They're just spectacular.
And now let's check to see the weather in cities around the world today. And we start this morning in the Swiss Alps town of Zermatt. The mountain peak you see on your screen is the Matterhorn, which is higher than 14,600 feet. It's been a sunny day there today with a high of 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, we head south of the equator to South Africa. Now, this is the Keaton-on-the-Sea, a small coastal town known for its beaches in the country's eastern Cape. It's a nice day there today with a high of 85, but it will be unseasonably cool tomorrow with a high of just 62. And San Salvador is the capital of the largest city in El Salvador in Central America. It has a tropical, wet and dry climate, and August is part of the rainy season. So there will be scattered showers there today with a high of 84. On average, it rains around 20 days in August. And we end our world tour of Banff, the most visited national park in Canada. It's known for the crystal blue waters in Lake Louise and world-class hiking. And it should be a great day to be out in the park with partly cloudy skies and also a high of 74 degrees. And coming up in the National Weather Desk, we'll hear from a team of experts about how mobile radars are helping us better understand tornadoes.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. It's a nice looking day on tap in the Northeast. We have a lot of sunshine, comfortable temperatures, and low humidity. We'll take that. Low 80s will do it for highs with a lot of sunshine. This is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon today. Notice just about unlimited sun. We'll start our Wednesday with a lot of sunshine as well. Things will change by afternoon with some pop-up afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Most areas will be in the 80s. Parts of northern New England will stay in the 70s.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Bailey. Here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. We're staying mostly dry as we head through your Tuesday, with the exception of just a stray sprinkle across the area, a very light shower. Other than that, we're going to not see much rainfall coming. The lower humidity is going to stick around for some time, and temperatures remain fairly comfortable in the 80s for most of us. In the upper altitudes, we're talking about still in the 70s, but no rain to really come our way until we get later into the weekend.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Here's a quick check of your highs for this afternoon. Definitely on the warm side, with the exception of our North Carolina area in the mid 80s, upper 70s out in Asheville. Everywhere else is looking above average. We're looking at the mid and upper 90s in the Florida Peninsula. Also similar story up in Memphis, Little Rock, Jackson, Mississippi as well. Few showers expected along the coastline for our friends closer to the coast this morning. And then in the afternoon, we'll really see shower activity ramp up. It'll fizzle out overnight.
The National Weather Desk.
20 years ago, Hurricane Charlie struck Florida. It was one of the strongest hurricanes to ever strike the United States and the first of 4 in Florida in 2004. Meteorologist Jennifer Collins looks back at a very active year.
2004 was an active hurricane season for the Atlantic and Florida. Hurricane Charlie was the first of 4 hurricanes that year to impact the state. The storm was an important reminder to pay attention to the entire forecast cone. While most before the storm paid attention to the center forecast line, the actual path took one to the right of the original forecast cone, and Charlie rapidly intensified before landfall on August 13th as a Category 4 hurricane along the southwest coast of Florida, near the Fort Myers area. Charlie was the strongest hurricane to make landfall in the United States since Hurricane Andrew in 1992. Though the storm was small in size, it caused significant damage across the Florida Peninsula, leaving behind about $14 billion in damages. Just 18 years later, Hurricane Ian in 2022 made landfall in the exact same location, Cayo Costa.
On May 21st, a deadly EF4 tornado tore through the town of Greenfield, Iowa. At the time, a research team deployed mobile radars and instrument packs into its path and captured the highest wind speeds ever recorded from a tornado. Now, Emily Gracie spoke to the Doppler on Wheels team to hear their story of that terrifying day.
We knew it was probably going to be a serious day. Conditions were absolutely right for it. The other concern is that storm motions were kind of progged to be quite rapid. So 45 plus miles an hour, which makes it pretty difficult to deploy a team with multiple vehicles and different types of sensors. I mean, you really have to move quick for that. We ended up kind of more in chase mode, trying to stay ahead of it. And for a while, there were no tornadoes. It was actually kind of a fast moving QLCS kind of line with embedded rotating storms in it. And we were kind of riding along with the line. And at some point, a couple of primary vortexes occurred. You know, it was a little bit of a guessing game because some of them were down for a little while and then dissipating. And then at some point, what became the Greenfield tornado came down and stayed down. We deployed the first Dow 6 on the west side of Greenfield, about 6 or 7 miles out of town, because the way the tornado was moving, it actually looked like it was going to pass west of town. You know, you kind of have that moment where you're like, this is big and I need to be really careful with my own thoughts and what I can't unsee in the very near future. Like, this is going to be a big event. And then We actually drove through Greenfield moments before it was impacted. He said, okay, Scout, go ahead, head toward town, try to drop 2 or 3 pods and go through town. And at that point, the tornado was just south of town and turning. And so I remember looking at our own radar scope and thinking, I don't think we have time for this. Like, I don't actually think we're going to make it.
And to hear the rest of Jen's story, check out this week's episode of our podcast, Off the Radar. 2 other scientists on this project will also share their groundbreaking data that came out of it. Find Off the Radar anywhere you listen to your podcast or on our YouTube channel. A recent report says the Earth is finally getting a break from record-setting temperatures. July ended the 13 consecutive months when a new average heat record was set. Lee Stoll is in Seattle, Washington with more.
Earth's run of record-setting heat has finally ended at 13 months. According to the European Climate Agency Copernicus, temperatures in July just missed the record set last year.
Even if we are slightly below what we were a year ago, the global temperature is still at near record levels.
The El Niño weather pattern, which normally warms the Pacific Ocean, spurred the heat streak. Now that it's passing, temperatures are cooling just a bit.
We are still seeing at the moment, as we speak, is very high sea surface temperature, or much above average sea surface temperature, outside of the equatorial Pacific. So outside of the typical El Niño regions.
Global temperatures averaged 62.4 degrees Fahrenheit in July, 1.2 degrees above the 30-year average, but not enough to break the previous record. July 22nd and 23rd were the hottest days ever recorded. In Seattle, the record was set on June 28, 2021, when the thermometer topped 108 degrees. Climate change has driven severe weather events like flooding in South Africa, a fatal landslide in Indonesia, and officials say more than 120 people died from record heat in Tokyo.
The consequences of climate change have been seen for many years. They started before June 2023. And they won't end because this streak of records is ending.
Well, most of the country has been under a heat dome at some point this summer. Meteorologist Joy Bettenhausen recently posted on Instagram about how and why it gets so hot under these pressure ridges.
I think it's safe to say that it's been hot across the country this summer. I mean, in Oklahoma, we've had 6 triple-digit days so far. I know there was high heat and humidity across the Midwest, Northeast, and just out in the desert Southwest, and they've just been dealing with triple-digit heat, I think, since a few months ago. So you may have heard the term heat dome. Well, what does it mean? A heat dome is essentially a high-pressure ridge that's stuck over your region. You can see it here with this example over the desert Southwest, central, and southern plains. You could be in a blocking pattern where you have a strong low-pressure trough on either side, so really the pattern isn't going to move. And you can expect 90s, maybe triple-digit heat over a few days to up to a few weeks. Now, when you have high pressure aloft, that's where you get sinking air, and sinking air will warm. So if this continuously happens over a few days, you're just consistently having warm air, especially if it's stagnant, it's not moving anywhere, it's just going to sit over your location. Now, usually when you're stuck under the heat dome, it's hot and dry, right? You don't have any rain or any rain chances in the forecast. Well, up above the high pressure ridge, you can have showers and storms, thunderstorm complexes roll around the ridge. My mom was actually saying we've had days and days worth of rain, and she's in Illinois. Well, it makes sense. She was in that optimal position to receive those daily rainfall chances, while those to the south completely missed out on the rain.
When it comes to heat, we are often told wear light colors and avoid black because black attracts the sun. But how does this impact your car? Are black cars hotter? Meteorologist Alex Garcia has the answer.
Question that usually comes up, are light-colored cars actually cooler than dark-colored cars? Well, when you take a look at this guy, you can see the temperature showing up with this. And of course, that's the albedo, that's the reflectivity, how much heat's being reflected. The white reflects the heat. Meanwhile, yeah, look at the temperature there. That temperature, that dark really soaks in the heat and really makes it hotter. So yeah, dark-colored cars are a little bit hotter simply because they're soaking up so much heat. But take a look at this, asphalt. Youch, my feet are melting.
Time now for a short break, but first we take in views around Las Vegas, Nevada.
Well, very good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. We have some scattered rain across the southern plains for the day today, and a lot of 70s and 80s. The only place looking to get into the 90s would be there in Wichita, 92 for the day today. And then it cranks up to 101 tomorrow in Wichita. Scattered thunderstorms slowly drifting their way east on Wednesday, and you can see that moving its way closer to the Great Lakes by Thursday, with, again, a lot of the temperatures still in the 70s and 80s, a few 90s there to the far south.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Starting off a little warm, in fact, too warm for Brownsville, 81 degrees. Cooler as you get up toward the north, back up to Amarillo around 74. A weak system today will push up to the north as a warm front. We'll be watching scattered showers there, some sea breeze showers right up along the Louisiana and Texas coast. And the afternoon, wow, is it going to heat up. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. Cooler temperatures for the Pacific Northwest. However, we've got air quality that's still down to poor conditions for the wildfire activity that's going on, and critical fire weather conditions are still set up in parts of Nevada and southern Oregon. We have an area of low pressure that's keeping things cool and showery the Pacific Northwest, but showers and storms for much of the Southwest and the Four Corners is bringing in the threat of flash flooding. That's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Wildfires in California have been putting out a lot of smoke, and that smoke can be a real danger to your health. Meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell explains why.
Now, smoke is always a problem because it gets deep into your lungs because the particulate matter is so very small. You see the smoke particles there in red, just about 2.5 to 3 microns in size, much smaller than a grain of sand and smaller than a human hair as well, much smaller than even the comparably sized dust particles, but so tiny that they can get deep into the lungs and they make you start to feel pretty crummy, frankly. If you suffer from any breathing difficulties, including COPD or asthma, chances are you're really going to struggle when that smoke starts to fill on into your region. Also starting to feel some irritation in the eyes, nose, and throat as it just starts to seep on in and get into your body. And eventually it just makes you start to feel kind of queasy and nauseous. You can get headaches and fatigue, and eventually it's pretty hard on your heart and lungs as well. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell.
And looking for more great weather content, you can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Tuesday, and I'll see you right back here